I'm James Warfield with Your Urban Connection. Remember, this is the station that is often imitated, but is never duplicated. So I want to talk to you today about the decision by the Sedgwick County / Wichita City Council to appoint a task force to look at what caused the death of Cedric Lofton at the hands of the Kansas Sedgwick County Juvenile Justice Intervention Program. Now, let me just be clear. The decision to hire, not to hire, but to appoint a task force serves to do two things and two things only. Number one, it serves to get the Cedric Lofton case off of the 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock TV news programs. And secondly, it serves to get the morning newspaper front page story off of the minds and the viewership of the Wichita Eagle. That's all. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about task force, better known as advisory boards. Let me give you just a few examples. In 2018, the Wichita City Manager and the council approved a citizens review board. How's that working out for you? How's that working out for you? Now, the Kansas governor has two task forces in place that would lead you to believe that they are, in fact, benefiting the African American community in the state of Kansas. So I want to ask you two questions. When's the last time you heard from the Kansas African American Affairs Commission? And in 2020, the governor appointed a second task force or advisory board. It's called the Diversion, Inclusion, and Civil Rights Board. When's the last time you heard from them? What benefits have the African Americans in the state of Kansas derived from those two boards? You see, this is just an example of the difference between the old saying, actions are better than words. Now, let me show you the difference. And this is the difference between being taken seriously and not being taken seriously. When a political organization, such as the governor, the mayor, the county commission, the city council, when they take your issue seriously, they don't appoint advisory boards. These are non-paying advisory boards that have no authority, no power, okay, and can't change anything. And oftentimes, as in this case, these task force and advisory board members have little to no knowledge about the boards or the subjects of the boards that they're being appointed to. Now, here's the difference. When you are taken seriously by these political organizations, they don't hesitate to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to contract with somebody to investigate, somebody with expertise to look into and find solutions to these problems. Now, in this case, we're talking about a life that was lost at the behest of the Sedgwick County Juvenile Justice System. Now I want to ask you, can you think of another case where a life was lost, and they chose to appoint a task force to look into it and find solutions as to what caused the death? Absolutely not. So why? Why in this case? I'll tell you why. It's an effort to kick the can down the road. And in 60 days, they hope that your mind will be off of that issue and we can move on to something else. You see, it's a known fact that we Americans have a short time span, short memory span, okay? Now, one of the things that we certainly cannot afford to do is to let this happen. We cannot afford to allow them to sweep this under the rug and hope that 60 to 90 days, we will have forgotten all about it. Because if we do that, I can guarantee you that it's just a matter of time before we have another case of Cedric Lofton. And it won't be Cedric Lofton, but it'll be another juvenile, African-American or Hispanic, black or brown, okay? It will be the victim of the same system. Because I can guarantee you, a task force is not going to come up with any solutions. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure they're looking for solutions. Because after I've given you before a professional group out of Washington, D.C. that did a study of the Kansas juvenile justice system. And they came up with ideas and solutions. And none of them were acted upon. And let me just give you two examples. One of them was, it stated that across the country, it is known that the shackling of juveniles certainly causes drama, okay? And it is of no benefit. However, the state of Kansas and the county of Sedgwick, as the Lofton case clearly shows, is still utilizing shackling on these teenagers and these juveniles. Now, if the county commission, the city council, the state legislators, if they're not going to listen to people whose job it is, who deal with juvenile justice every day, if they're not going to listen to them and enact change, what in the heck makes you think they're going to listen to a task force? Remember the old saying, you get what you pay for. And they've shown they're not willing to pay. So they're not willing to receive. Okay? Just a little bit. Use your head, folks. Open your eyes. We need and want an independent, outside organization to look at the juvenile system. This particular case of Cedric Lofton, find out exactly what happened to cause and create what the coroner has considered a homicide. Now, what we're going to look at here is the county is going to say, well, we don't have the money. Okay, let me explain something to you. I can guarantee you that the county is going to have to pay millions of dollars for a wrongful death suit that is going to come as a result of what happened to Cedric Lofton. Now, will they tell the judge, tell the courts they don't have the money? No. They're going to dig into that budget. They're going to pony up the money. So as I've said so many times before, you either pay up front to be proactive, or you pay it in the back end and be reactive. Okay, and that's the answer to it. That's what it all amounts to. So they're fighting. They don't want to appoint an independent outside investigation because they don't want to know the facts. They want to depend on what Mark Bennett said. And yet the legislators, not one, not two, but several legislators are saying the stand your ground law does not apply in this case. So they don't want to know the facts. They want to go on the words of Mark Bennett. And Mark Bennett has shown time after time after time that he is biased in favor of law enforcement. So just a little food for thought. I'm giving you information that others refuse to give. And that is why I tell you, this channel is often imitated, but it is never duplicated, because the information that I'm giving you, they're afraid to give. Okay? I'm James Barfield for your Urban Connection.